Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Shellda podcast. My name is Dan Shelley, a professional paintball photographer. And in this episode, I get into the mind of one of the most successful coaches of all time in paintball, Kevin Bredthauer. And we dive into topics of what his coaching philosophy is like. He really opened up and talked about what it was like to leave San Diego Dynasty and take the head coaching job for Tampa Bay Damage and what that whole process was like. And honestly, how it didn't really go as expected. So this is definitely an episode you're not going to want to miss. Let's jump right into it.
Photographer of the Year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Shellda podcast, where today I am joined by one of the most legendary players, now most successful coaches in the game, Kevin Bredthauer. How are you today?
I'm doing great. You did that. You did that perfect. You got it.
Yeah. So the reason why we're laughing a little bit is before we started, I wanted to make sure I pronounced your last name right, and it sounds like that's something that people get wrong a lot. Is that true?
Well, yeah, it's long and it's tricky, but yeah, no, people have gotten it wrong for a very long time, so it's okay.
Hey, you know what? We're all trying, and I think next time we see Matty Marshall in Atlantic City, we're gonna have to tell him how to pronounce it correctly.
We'll have to remind him. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I'm really excited to have you on. Before we dive into getting to know you a little bit more on a deeper level, I've got some show sponsors I want to give a huge shout out to. Hormesis has been with me since day one, and like obviously, rocking Hormesis. You know Alex and the crew so well; they're like family to you at this point, and they treat me the same way. They brought me into their family, and it's just been such an honor to be part of that brand. And then BFP Gear, Junior and Gina, you obviously know them very well from spending a lot of time with them over the years. Same thing. It's just like when I think of BFP Gear, they're just a small family, and that's exactly what I want from a company to support. And it's like every few weeks I get a care package from them. I got a shirt a few weeks ago with their store, Extreme Paintball. And so if you see me at the field after the show goes live, first person that sees me, find me, and the shirt is yours. I'll give it away.
All right.
Yeah. So Kevin, man, before we dive into it, I kind of want to give a little backstory. You and I have been around each other for the past, 2 or 3 years, obviously with you being the Dynasty coach and me doing a lot of media for the team. I've obviously seen you, coaching, and you're in your element, and growing up, I've seen you in the magazines and I looked up to you, and I've just never seen a moment where you seem like you're like nothing phases you. And it's so cool to see that.
Like when you mean like Dwall? Yeah, like Alex has asked me that. He's like, "Don't you get nervous during these things?" And I'm like, "No." I mean, I try. I think I've prepared for it enough, and I've had practice and just other tournaments before. So no, I don't really get nervous about it at all. Obviously, I care, but there's a difference between being nervous and I don't I maybe it's just the way I approach it is a little different than other people. I was never for example, I'm a different kind of coach than Todd Martinez or Shane Pastana. They're very more emotional and can get more out of players that way. That's not me. So, but I have my other ways, and that's more me. But it's not that I recognize what I'm not good at, and that's one of those things. But it also helps, I think, when something bad happens. I'll just be like, "Oh, it's okay, it's fine, it'll be okay." So
yeah. Thank you for explaining that, because I think some people, and I've heard it from people in the past, was like, "Oh, look, Skinny or SK doesn't care. It seems like he doesn't care about anything." I'm like, that's not it. This guy's so passionate about what he does. Just because he doesn't show emotion doesn't mean he doesn't care. And so thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, because I think it's important. If you get all depressed, the finals in Vegas last year, I think a lot of coaches would have just freaked out and tried to change everything. And I knew it wasn't that. It's just we weren't playing good enough, and the Hurricanes were playing great. I was like, we're not doing anything wrong. They just played a little better than us. So yeah.
Yeah. That's what I love about your style. And I think some other coaches, if you're listening, can take away from that is I just had Gerald Garcia on, and he was talking about playing like way back, with Bob Long and all those guys, and you would come off the field and like they would be screaming at you and like MFing you, you're like, you suck and all that. And he's like, that's the last thing you want to hear from a player. And like you want reassurance when you come off the field, like, hey, it's okay, you made a mistake, like we got you.
Yeah, like so this last weekend I coached at the WC, and like so it's a team I never really coached before, and I had to like re-explain some stuff, and I was like, one of the front guys got shot off the break, and he was like sad. I was like, no, man, dude, that's on me. That was our risk we took. That's my fault, not yours. And like, so once players kind of understand that, especially the front guys in particular, then they play freer, I think. Like they're not worried about like, if I'm like, let's go to the snake on the break, and they go and they get shot, they're like, oh, it's okay. Like it's not like they're not going to get sat because they got shot going to the snake on the break. That was our team risk that we decide, like I decided or the team did already, and meetings before that.
Yeah. So what you describe right there is accountability, right? And I think that's where a
Yeah.
lot of divisional players, they don't have that. Like they come off the field, they're pointing fingers, but to hear the leader, hear you take accountability
Right.
for that shows them like, oh wow, like, okay, I can take a deep breath now.
Yeah, and it's like generally like you talk about those plans ahead of time and be like, well, there's a possibility he's going to get shot on the break, but let we think it's worth the risk, or
Yeah.
it sets up other plays. There's reasons for it. It's not just pure risk. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to run the snake this time and run the Dorito that time. Like simple things just to keep other teams off balance and stuff.
Yeah, you keep them guessing, and that's what I've
Yeah.
loved about watching your style is it seems like other teams sometimes better than what they know themselves. Like I've seen you play some calls or put some calls together over the past 2 years, and it's like, wow, how did you even know that they were going to change it up at that moment?
Well, it's like I think it's like well, part of it is just a lot of like experience. I think so. You
Yeah,
kind of, but it's not just that. It's what would I do if I switch? You'd switch roles, and you'd be like, what would I do if I was that coach? And
yeah,
then what's working well for us? And then sometimes, like there was a tournament like a long time ago. We did the same thing 12 times in a row and won 10 of them. And I was like,
wow,
well, yeah, you know what? I think we're fine.
yeah,
So
wow.
yeah,
I mean, you
yeah,
see it all the time in football, right? Like the coach will run the ball 10 times, like, hey, when you stop it, I'll change.
exactly. Yeah, if you're getting 5 yards of carry, who cares? Like it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. Stop
Yeah.
it.
So exactly.
Let's dive a little deeper into the coaching aspect of it. I think this past offseason was obviously a huge shakeup all across the league. And I don't know if a lot of people expected you to leave Dynasty and go back to Damage, because I think that's where you started your
No,
coaching
no,
career.
no. So the first pro team I coached was Infamous, like a
Infamous.
long, long time ago,
Like
and
2013-ish,
basically
I think.
it was a long time ago. So it was no, it was before that.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it was like I don't know. It was Travis's bachelor party, and literally, I went because I'm friends with LB, and so we went down to Mexico, and we are just hanging. And LB is like, "Do you want to coach the team?" I was like, "Not really." He's like, "Come on, it'll be fun." So I went. So the first year I did it there, and then I coached Dynasty 2 or 3 years after that.
Yeah.
And then I went to school, and then a few years later, I started coaching Ironman, and then Damage, and then went back, and then I
Okay.
took a long time off, and then yeah,
Got it. Okay. I think that may be where I missed some of that, because I was trying to do some
yeah,
research, and obviously PB Leagues only goes back so far.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yes, yeah. So
Um,
yeah,
what went into that decision, like this off season? And the reason I ask that is I think a lot of the paintball community, they see the breaking news come up, from Major League Paintball,
right.
the NXL, and they make all these assumptions. But I think what people don't realize is how much goes into that decision, right? Like somebody has to call you and offer you. You have to then go talk to your family or weigh the pros and
Yeah.
cons? Like, what went into that?
I think it was right before Thanksgiving. And like I just felt like this last year with Dynasty was it was hard, but it wasn't that. That's not what I thought the problem was. It's just we had won so many tournaments. I thought like a lot of the drive had disappeared, including for myself. Like I really
Yeah.
think that, like for the whole team and and I just felt like effort wasn't there. And to be honest, I mean, my goal was at the beginning of the year was to get to 10 tournaments I won with the team, like
Yeah.
have, and we got to 9. So, so I was like, that's pretty freaking good.
That's
So, and
amazing.
I was like, hey, I just needed honestly, for me, it was about me needing a new challenge
Yeah.
more than the team having like that's most of the guys on those teams are like my little brothers, like especially the old guys. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not, and I could also see maybe they needed someone else. Like, because I do think, like Joey said it before, and I think in most professional sports, and and we're not like the NFL level, obviously, but most of them don't last more than about 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
The leash is
and
really short.
exactly, and to do it like at the level, to have that drive and to have that passion, it's kind of like I think it's very difficult to have, and for your message to get across, where
Yeah.
they slowly people listen less and less. So yeah,
That's such a mature decision to go through. And I don't think a lot of people would have the foresight to step away from that moment. Because I think, you could have rode that off into the sunset, right? Like you're coaching Dynasty, one of the most storied teams in history. You could have won a ton more tournaments, but to realize that like you weren't being fulfilled anymore, and to
right.
see that the team wasn't, like, that takes a lot of like interpersonal work there.
Yeah, I think it's just because I've coached other teams before that helped a lot. And most of the time I never coached them for that long. Like it
Yeah.
was always like from 2 to like 3 years or something. So like I think the 3 year thing is generally like I think is like the perfect balance. And then 4, if it's going really well, that's fine. Or
Yeah.
it's more like you start with a lower level pro team, like, and you ramp it up,
Yeah.
like, and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of a good, maybe if it's not really like that because they like we're up here, went down, it's totally different. But I'm trying to think of a team that like there hasn't really been one in a while that has moved. I guess the Red Legion is a good example. Like
Yeah.
they were doing like so, and I know they had like visa issues, but then they sort of dialed it back in to get, and then started doing really well. But you could tell at the end of the year before they were starting to get it back together again. So,
Yeah. And I think they could be scary good this year.
of course,
uh,
yeah, exactly.
like I talked to Ryan Gray at Tampa, and we were talking about his role specifically, and he was just like, the things that they're working on, they've got a role and a job for everybody. That way, the head coach doesn't have to wear 3 or 4 hats; they wear one
Right,
hat,
right.
and it's really cool to see our sport getting to that spot.
Right. And I mean, Max and Alex too, that both
Yeah,
do, different jobs, but, and then they work. That's one thing too. It's really hard too when, like, before, like the first 2 years or so, Junior wasn't there. I didn't have anyone to ask. Like, I'm like, do you think I'm doing the right thing? Like, no, there was no one to ask because the players, although they will try to be neutral, they can't be. It's just
yeah,
impossible for them. So that's I mean, I think it helps a lot. And like I think Ryan's right in that having 3 people, if you have 2 people that think that way, it's probably the right thing. So yeah.
I just want to interrupt super quick and say thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Shellda podcast. Going on this journey has been an absolute dream come true, and I've got so many big plans for this podcast for the rest of this year. And in order to hit some of those goals, I need your help. Nearly 45% of you aren't still subscribed to my YouTube channel. So the quick, easy, and free way to show your support for this podcast is take a moment, hit that subscribe button below. Lets me know that you enjoy the content, that you're enjoying what you're seeing, and then I can keep growing the podcast. All right, let's get back to the interview. I want to go back a little bit. What was that conversation like when you had to tell the team? Because you grew up with these guys. You said they're like your brothers.
It was not how I wanted it to happen at all. So, like, basically, like, I kind of decided right before Thanksgiving, or it was during Thanksgiving, and I was like, I just won't say any. I'll just wait until, like, after, people. I'm like, I'm not gonna, like,
Disrupt their Thanksgivings.
you don't understand, like, when like things like that happen, that the amount of stuff that happens in the group chats and teams goes insano. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna wait until afterwards. And then like 50 people, like, or not 50, but like all these people are calling me at the same time. I'm in a like meeting with Taiwan for work, and I'm like, dude. So I just
Wow.
texted the whole team, and I was like, this is not the way I wanted to do it, but whatever.
Wow.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
that was not ideal, but at the same time, I'd rather them hear it from me in a way than not at all. So
Yeah. I've gone back and forth on that. I'm assuming that probably broke at some point, right? Like either was it leaked or did Major League
I
post
don't
it?
know what I probably, but like it's kind of weird because like Damage asked me most years to coach their team, so that was like not a secret at all that like like there's certain players that like Ryan gets asked every offseason to go play for someone,
Yeah.
and he always says no, but if you don't ask, like you're not going to know. So
Exactly.
it's kind of like that, but. Yeah, so and for me it was really about like the new challenge, and
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. That's like I also think it's kind of unfair to call one person at a time and then be like, "Oh, so which little brother am I supposed to call first?"
Yeah. And
Like
then don't tell
I
anybody
don't
else.
yeah, exactly, which would never happen for like at all. So, yeah,
Yeah.
or they already know. They're like, "Oh, I heard already." So, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no right way, but that wasn't the way I wanted it to happen, but that's the way it did happen. So,
Yeah, it's the spot that our sport is in, and like I was about to say is I go back and forth on it where like I think of you as people, and I want you to have that opportunity to like have those conversations. But sometimes in sports, like this information gets leaked out somewhere, and then it gets
yeah,
broken. And
yeah.
honestly, like if we look at the NFL and NBA, like a lot of those moves they get broke sometimes before the player even knows. And
Oh, for
so
sure. Like I listened to a bunch of like different sports podcasts, and there's so many times where guys don't even know. And for us, it's very rarely in the middle of the season, and
yeah,
we don't have to move.
yeah,
Those guys
exactly.
have to move. Like you're like your kids in kindergarten, and you're like, "Oh, sorry, Joey, we have to leave. We're moving to Tampa now." That doesn't happen. So in a
Yeah.
way, that's good. But like that sounds awful, especially for someone like the like lower players or young players, and then they get traded to a new team, and then they get cut immediately because it's
Yeah.
just like salary filler. I'm like, that's terrible.
It's
But
awful. And like you don't
yeah,
ever hear about those stories and what those players go through. Like
no, no,
I would love
no,
to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah.
What's some advice you would give to, some other coaches who because I'm sure there's some in the league right now who are going through what you went through where they feel I don't know if burnt out is the right word, but they're like, man, I could use something new or use a new challenge. What advice would you give to
Um,
them?
uh, I don't know. I think one thing that I found interesting now is like with the like so I sort of started this like scouting system that all these coaches a lot not all a lot of them use either some kind of variant of my system, so they all talk to me. So there's like a big coaching network, and then the coaches show has like tripled it. Like
Yeah.
so now a lot of people will ask me. So or like all these different, I've coached a lot of like there was a couple years ago I coached PB Fit at a WC, and they were terrible. But they're like, we learned so much from this. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, good. And now it's like, I mean, it's just cool. Like I don't know. So I guess because coaches, there's not you can't just call your friend that's a player. There's not very many coaches like at the pro level, so it's a little trickier. But like which ones you trust and which ones you're friends with for real. So
Yeah.
like there's a bunch of them that I mean we all talk to each other. We
Yeah.
don't have a
Yeah.
group chat, but we all talk to each other. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, the more I get immersed in this and the more relationships I build at this level, I've realized that like it's everyone at your level at the pro scene, they've either played with each other, against each other, coached
Yeah.
with or against. And so like everyone
Yeah.
is part of the same community.
Exactly. And yeah, everyone knows everyone. And there'll be like one new person and you're like, oh, who's that guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And you mentioned your scouting system. In order, when I was prepping for the show, I reached out to Sal Chavez, obviously very well from BFP Gear, and he's like, "Hey, you've got to ask Kevin about his scouting." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, if you ever look in the stands, you're always going to see him up there." And I
Yeah.
think you're one of the only pro coaches who scouts almost every single game.
Well, I mean, they all do it, and some of them do it through the webcast too. Some of them scout games in particular, but most of the team, I feel like most of the teams do some. Maybe like for me, that's the best way I learn. So like, it's not just to have scouting on every team; it's to learn what works well and what doesn't. Like that's the other thing. So I don't like for me that's you can learn all that and I've never felt that you can learn as much on the webcast like
Yeah.
yeah, some of these events coming up I would much rather be sitting in the air conditioning hotel. I'm sure if you could take camera pictures from the hotel room I'm positive you would.
Oh, some of these events are brutal.
Yeah, exactly, especially like like your days are as long as mine if not maybe longer, so
Yeah, I get
but
there,
I
hour before the pros get there, and then I'm there
yeah.
for the last set, just like you. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. So I've just learned that for me, it's the best way for me to learn, like visually and through that. And then the writing everything down helps me, like it's a secondary like learning process by writing it down and
yeah,
then being able to look at it afterward and analyze it super fast. So yeah, so I've started to work on some new stuff like with Mike from Damage. Like
yeah,
people probably don't know him very well, but it's there's Joey, Mike, and I that are
yeah.
all sort of part of the coaching staff. And yeah, so we've started to work on some new things that should, I want to take the next step of that stuff.
That's yeah. I'm thankful that you brought that up because I've wondered that over the past few years as I see coaches, will walk around with a clipboard and they're dry erasing like crazy and they're just flipping pages back and forth. And I've always
Right.
thought like, why aren't we using tablets yet where you can do that stuff
So
almost in real
so
time?
I have a reason for that.
Okay.
It's not that I don't you so the problem with tablets is you cannot look at four matches at once and look at all eight, there's eight teams in those four matches. You can't look at it
Mm,
all at once and actually be able to read it. It would be like tiny. So
yeah, sure.
so that's why. And I
Ah,
mean,
okay.
if he didn't have Wi-Fi or whatever, like you can't share it or it's raining.
Yeah,
so so there's times where that wouldn't work. But at the same time, like uh, yeah, I mean people use them and it can work. It's just what works for you. It's your tool, so you get to choose
yeah.
which one to use. So
Yeah, I've just,
yeah.
when you said like you process it so fast, I've just thought there's got to be a way to like almost automate that, right? Like we're in a world now where, hey, how can we automate everything?
I mean,
Um,
you probably could, but the problem is there's little variables that I don't think technology can solve yet. Well, it could, but it would just be really super expensive.
yeah,
Like there's tracking systems already for like soccer and
yeah,
football and stuff like that, and heat maps and all these things, but they
yeah,
don't do other things that I need, like info I need. So
sure.
yeah,
Oh, that's the cool part about it is like everyone, even though you're coaching the same sport, you have your own style. Like
right,
um,
exactly.
I was I was at X Factor a year or so ago, and they were trying something new where they had the guy that does In the Pits podcast, Christian. he had GoPros set up on either side, and he was taking stats after. Where I think he was heat mapping to see like, okay, where was the hot
Right.
part of the field.
Right.
And so it's just cool to see how like the coaching is evolving over the past few years. And
Yeah, for sure.
you mentioned like you're still doing it by paper, but maybe there is a day where you're sitting in the stands and you've got
Oh,
4 tablets around you. You
oh
know?
yeah, maybe. Yeah. No, I'm like not against anything. It's just there's reasons why I've done it. There's I mean,
Sure.
it's just I'm not sure, but there's other things with tablets that would be better. But
Yeah.
it's just some. What if it overheats? Like in some of these events, like phones overheat. Like I
My
don't know.
camera overheats.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
So
And then you miss
so
that
yeah.
moment.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah. And
yeah, I mean, I'm not like there's plenty of things I've thought about being able to do, but
yeah.
it's about manpower and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Makes total
so
sense.
Like Patrick McKenna from Heat does some stuff with tablets and does data that way too. And you can, but he's got enough people to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really about there's two problems. So and my data, if you really looked at it, is too much for most players to absorb at once. Like
Yeah.
especially if you're not good at reading it. Like Damage yet hasn't understood how to read my stuff. Not the whole team at least.
Yeah.
But at the end of Dynasty, everyone could read the scout sheets like this. Like
Yeah.
Yosh could look at it for 2 seconds and be like, okay, cool. Like, but
Yeah.
it takes time to do that. So like that's something you have to teach the players that part too. So
Yeah, can you go into that a little deeper? Because I think that's a piece of gold right there that I think some people don't realize. When you've got a coach, you just left Dynasty, right? And they all knew you knew them inside and out.
yes.
And now there's this transition period where you have to learn the new players, and they also have to learn you and your style. So like,
Yes, big
what
time.
goes through that process?
So like I do have a look obviously I've helped with Joey being there already, so he gives me his opinion. But
Yeah,
what that's super helpful. Obviously, that's an accelerator for that process, but it's still not the same like as me, having years of, that. Like and the other thing is you have to learn how the players learn. Like because like Yosh, for example, like I could tell Ryan like just we're going here, 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 this which way, this guy's shooting and whatever. But Yosh is like, I need to see that. So like Yosh need it visually, and some people need both. So it's
yeah,
like, and until you figure out really, and sometimes actually most of the time the players have no idea what they need. So
yeah,
so um so it takes a little while to teach because you have to learn them and they learn like you just said. Exactly, you're exactly right. But the
yeah,
way they learn is very important. So like, and some of them almost like I'll even have people draw it out themselves. So they have that, it's like when let's say you're taking you're doing your notes, but it's a secondary thing to add to it.
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Is I am that third person where like if I'm at work and someone's telling me something technical, I need to explain it back to you, and that's how I learn it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Is there anything that you do or would recommend for other coaches to help speed up that process to like learn those 3 different styles of people?
I mean, I think I mean, I think it's most important to like talk to people individually and ask them
Yeah.
how they like it. Like
Mhm.
because there's also things too that like sometimes you just don't have time to explain it, have them say it back, like all these things, like in between matches, like sometimes that's just not there. Like in
Yeah.
finals matches in particular, there's less time in between well, I mean there's more time, but there's actually less time between the points. So like they have to understand that part. But if you get them to know what you want to do ahead of time by going over it individually, if you have to, or if
Yeah.
you go over it like as a group, like sometimes I just feel like the group thing is not as effective as people think it might be. I think individually helps a lot more.
When you say the group thing, does that mean like, hey guys, come in quick
Like
for
a
like a
team meeting, a whole team meeting, it
yeah.
just doesn't. I don't think it's as effective as going through with like little either individually or with groups of like, like the 3 or 4 guys playing the snake. Like you just talk to them together, talk to
Yeah.
the back center guys together, talk to the yeah,
I mean, that's a proven method, right? Like if you look at the NFL,
exactly.
they don't practice together. The receivers go to receivers room, linemen go
Yes,
to a lineman
exactly.
room.
But they still go like have their meetings together as well, but they're probably shorter and more focused.
Yeah.
Like, because the offensive lineman doesn't need to know the exact route and when to cut on this against this TB and what. Like, they don't need to know. They just be like, "Where are you going?" Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like that.
exactly.
So, like, and they should spend their extra energy on what their focus. What I don't understand what offensive linemen do exactly, but they have plenty of techniques and stuff they need to do too.
Sure. Well, I think we can translate that to paintball, right? Like the
Exactly.
way a front player battles is totally different from someone who's standing up in a can in the back. Like you're battling totally
Exactly, and they're
different.
farther away. Yeah, so
Yeah.
exactly.
So see, you're already innovating. You don't even like you're years ahead of
Yeah,
everybody else already.
maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
uh, After, let's say, fast forward to post event weekend, right? And maybe you're close to getting the podium and you don't, and you're on that plane home. What eats at you the most? Is it the calls that you missed, or is it a player that maybe missed a shot that you said, "Hey, it's going to be there. It's trust me." What eats at you the most?
Um, Most of the time, I just would like I'll have all of my information too, like of what I'll know what everything I called and who played, who got shot on the break. I know all of that. Like I
Yeah,
don't need to watch the video. I already know. Like I have it. Like obviously you can't remember, oh, what happened to 7 point. I don't remember that, but I have it
sure.
there. So I guess what eats at me the most is I don't know, because like I don't. I kind of reset every tournament. Like I'll just kind of clear everything off, like just like because I've noticed that if you just keep all the old tournaments and build them up, you'll be like, oh, this guy can't. He didn't do it that time, so I need to set him forever. That is not the case. You need to reset every event, and then after each layout practice, that's who you decide to use or because I think like if you get jaded against certain players, like what do you have them on the team for? Like I don't get
Yeah,
it. So you should try to be able to use everyone. Obviously they have to earn it, but at the
sure.
same time, yeah,
Yeah, that's I think the way you just described that, that's gold right there. Because I think a lot of coaches, and I've seen it. I've seen it at the pro level where a player maybe misses a shot or something from a previous tournament, and like they have
right,
that second guess of like, you know what, I'm going to go with this person in this moment. You're going to sit this,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think it's been known for you where I've heard on the webcast like people are like, wait, why is Kevin putting this person in? And it's like
yeah.
you
So like
obviously trust it.
yeah, so for example, like in the beginning when I started coaching Dynasty, Arturo didn't play a lot. He just
Yeah,
didn't. Like, but there were several reasons. So one, he has to play really well. The other part is I have to end up trusting you too, or believe you can do it. And then the third part is the people next to you have to. Like when you're on
yeah,
the field in the finals, like
yeah,
that's the hardest part to earn. And like I discussed this with CJ CJ Kenner on damage as well, because most of the team is basically the same except for CJ, Carter, and Chris. So he's like, I understand why I didn't play. And I was like, the main reason is because not everyone trusts you yet. They will, but it takes
yeah.
time. So like in like an overtime point, the 5 years is going to be way better than the guy that just joined the team. You
Oh,
know.
for
Oh
for sure.
yeah.
It, how did you get to that point? And I know this might be a hard question to answer, but like, how did you get to a point to where you can see the trust in people? Because I don't think a lot of
You can
coaches see
you can
that.
well, you can ask them. Because you'd
Ah,
be
okay.
like, here, you guys pick the teams. And then you could see like Dynasty, we have 10 guys and damage, we have 11. So you just let them pick teams and they tell you without telling you.
Wow. Okay.
So so you're tricking them in a way, but also they're generally honest when it's because they're all very competitive. So
Yeah.
and that you can't get that out of them.
Yeah,
They can't be like, you know what, Yosh and Alex are my buddies. Like, I'd rather play with them. Like, I don't care if we're worse. Like, that just doesn't. It's impossible. So
sure.
for the, especially all the at the pro level, it's you can't get it out of these people.
Yeah, that's what I think Matty Marshall alluded to that when he was saying when he coaches WC teams, he's like, I'll ask them, is this a fantasy or is this a goal? And like you've got to decide if it's one or the
Yeah,
other because our conversations are going to be completely different. We're going to have really honest conversations or we're not.
yeah. Yeah, or you can have fun. Like you can there's nothing wrong with playing tournaments for fun. Like
Yeah, not at
that
all.
like I like some of these teams, I'm like, oh, this is like them going to play golf. They don't really care who wins. They're just going to
Yeah,
have fun. Like, and that's okay. Like
yeah, yeah,
I always am shocked by people like, well, they're not taking it serious. I'm like, they don't want to.
yeah,
So it's okay. Like especially local tournaments, like it's who cares?
yeah. There's a
So
spot out there for everybody. Like I had
exactly.
here a few weeks ago, we had USXBL and one of my local teams, I think they're like Texas Easy Company or something. They're a brand new team. I
Right.
think they got smoked. They went 0-3
Yeah.
and they won their last match.
Perfect.
And
That
D5
made the
team,
weekend for him.
yeah, and they all came off and did hopper dumps. I'm like, yeah, that's so cool to see.
Yeah, because like especially if it was like a team they weren't supposed to be, like
Yeah.
was it? I don't know if it was or not,
Uh,
or
I,
they
I don't know.
who
I don't
knows?
remember.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the best because like that's the last thing they remember. So that made the whole weekend. The other three matches, who cares?
Yeah, you already forgot about it in that moment,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
and
Yes.
especially if you have somebody who like captures that moment, like forget the losses. Like I'm posting the
Yeah,
hopper dump
the
picture.
full picture. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Talk to me about what it's like to coach your friends and like and the other part of like coach against your friends. Because I think there's like a
Oh, so
mind fuck that goes on there.
that part's super easy. So coaching against your friends is easy. Like
Okay.
because it's like when you're playing your brother in basketball or whatever thing or Mario Kart, it doesn't matter. You want to
Yeah.
beat your brother. That's it.
Sure.
Like literally no matter what. Like so that's super easy. But at the same time, if they do well, I'm still happy for them. Like I'm not
Yeah.
like I'm obviously I want to win, but at the same time, like we lost in Tampa. That's like obviously I wanted to win, but I wasn't
Yeah.
like depressed that they beat us. Like they're a good team.
Yeah.
It's okay. So
Yeah. I think, when I was thinking about you and the coaching change and thinking about, of course, the first time you went up against Dynasty and what that story was going to be that everyone was going to try to
right.
paint, I'm like, I think you're wrong here. I think he's going to appreciate that moment. Obviously, he's going to try to, you know,
Of
get
course.
behind everyone's mind, but like he's still going to enjoy it regardless.
Yeah, no, it's more fun because I like sometimes you'd rather win that game than like something more important because that you can
Yeah.
use forever. so,
Yeah.
so which I'm sure Junior and will use against me forever. So
Oh,
that's fine. I'm saying
yes.
he already has, so that's fine.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I want to jump around a little bit because you just brought up a gold question here. Somebody told me that you've got a string of bets that have been going on that haven't been going well.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, I've definitely
Tell me
lost
about
to
that.
Junior a couple times. I lost this last one in Tampa. I lost to Vic too because I bet against Vic when we played Red Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going well. It's not going well right now, but well, I can turn it around.
Maybe we will this event. We'll
I
get you
hope
back on the
so. Yeah,
winning side.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think Sal had mentioned, and maybe you can confirm it here. You lost a bet with Yosh at some point and had to name your pet after
Oh,
Yosh.
so so this was. I think we were betting on. At, I forget who it was. It was Aftermath. I think he bet on Diesel or something, and so I had to name a pet after Yosh. The next pet I got, so I got an ant farm, and they named all of them Yosh, all of them, and they all died, and I think they ate each other. So I don't know what that
Oh,
says about Yosh, but it may mean that he's a cannibal. It's possible.
that's great.
Yeah. So. It's crazy. So ant farms, they're fire ants. They're not regular little like black ants. They're those big red ones.
Yeah.
And I think some of them were dead by the time they got to me because they just ship them in the mail. And like you put them in the freezer and then take them out. It's very
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't know if you've ever had ants before, but it
I
is
can't say I have.
interesting. Yeah. So that's so yeah, I lost that bet. Yeah. Yeah, Sal's just been is you know, he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Like when I told, Sal that you were coming on, he was like, "Oh man, like you've got to ask him all these things." And
Yeah, yeah.
the
He got it was that Chicago or I don't remember, but he came out because you know he comes out with Junior a lot,
yeah,
and then he like we always go eat like because like Junior and I are in there until the end, and so is South, so we go eat like right away.
yeah,
Uh, and like yeah, one time we went to this Popeyes in Chicago, and it took like an hour, and I thought we might get stabbed. It was just not a great neighborhood. Like I don't know, it just went everything went poor, and he was
yeah,
like, "Well, you picked it," like yeah. So I was like, whatever. So yeah, he complains about everything. So
yeah. He's a good guy, but what I've noticed, what I've loved about Sal is he's quiet, but like if you poke him a little bit, he'll poke you back a little harder.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. What has it been like going from working with Junior and Sal and what I think what some people would put Dynasty on the same level as like playing in New York, right? Like for the Yankees, where like there's so much spotlight on it. You've seen it where you guys take the field and there's just the media flock to the tent, and you go to
Right.
Damage. Not that they're good, not that they're not a good team, but like there's less
There's
people
not as much
watching.
like yeah, spotlight is a perfect word for that.
Yeah, what is that
Um
like for you as a coach?
for me, I never really noticed it. Like I don't pay attention to it all. Like
Yeah,
I even would have Vic like kick people out of the pit to because it would get so crowded. I'd have to like move people out of the way.
yeah,
Like especially at World Cup, it would get really bad. Like and so I was like, Vic, you need to kick everyone out. So that's why he puts he's a crazy person and puts up yellow tape and stuff.
it
But
works.
it helps. It
Yeah,
helps me. It like added, like it helps. So, but for damage, I mean, I don't know, it's not much different. Like I just never really pay attention. I mean, I think you know this. I never look at the camera. I don't care. Like I don't
yeah,
even notice you're there, honestly, because that's not what my focus is on. It's not that I
yeah,
don't like you or something like that, but I like don't care. Like they used to have the webcast with the Lauren and Kelly would try to
yeah,
interview people during the matches. I'm like, I'm never doing that. And they're like, why? And I was like, I don't get paid to do the webcast. I get paid to do this. I'm going to do
yeah,
this.
yeah,
So she used to make fun of me about it later, but she was like, I get it. I was like, okay, but it's just like, so no, that stuff doesn't bother me at all. I don't think it really bothers any of the damage guys either because most of them have played a long time. So it's
yeah.
just like it is what it is at this point. So
Yeah, I get that same vibe from Damage too, and it's cool to see, that like they don't let that moment kind of be taken away from like all the cameras and all that, because
no, yeah,
some teams do.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Like you can, like so you can kind of tell like the guys that just post like I told Dynasty before, if anyone posts win World Cup before World Cup, I'd be like, no, you post win one World Cup. That's what you
Yeah,
get to post. You don't get to post beforehand. Like
yeah.
that's stupid. Like
It's a mentality.
yes, for me it always was. I was like, why would you do that? You want to
Yeah,
win? Did someone not want to win? That's going showing up? I don't think so. So
yeah.
yeah,
It's like I think some people are looking for that validation before that moment to like help them feel good about going into it because they're nervous or whatever it is.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I've had a few like media guys in the past few years, like they'll see you and they'll be like, man, like he just seems like a jerk. I'm like, he's not. Like Skinny is like such the nicest guy in the
That's
world. He's
good.
just so
No, no,
focused
keep
right
it
now.
that way. Then I don't have to. Yeah, it's better that way. Yes.
All right. I'll tell everybody you're
Yeah.
a jerk.
So
Yeah. You
like
don't want to
that's
talk to that guy.
so it's funny because like Damage makes fun of Keith because it takes him twice as long to get anywhere. because he's so nice and he talks to everyone and he's
Everybody.
friends with everyone. So
Yeah.
it's like it literally takes him like twice as long for it than anyone. So
Yeah.
it's very funny.
I feel like every team has a Keith though, where like there was that
Oh
one
yeah, for
person who
sure.
just talks to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Um, let's talk a little bit. You mentioned the coaches show before, and that's something that I think has been missing from paintball for so long. And I'm so glad, Mike and Ryan are doing it. What has that been like for you to kind of be in that circle of one, hearing them talk weekly and you being a part of it every once in a while? What have you learned like about yourself through that?
I think it's kind of cool, like especially when they have like the coaches I don't know very well, and then like they talk about stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've had that before. Like there's just all these things. You're like, it's almost like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. So that kind of stuff is nice to hear. And then there's like the other like, yeah, it's interesting to me because like it took this long for there to be a show like about that, and there's so many teams with coaches. Like I don't know if they must have it for other sports too, like soccer or any of those things. They must have stuff like that. I just don't like, on I just don't know enough about that. But
Sure.
yeah,
I'm sure they do. I mean, it's an
yeah,
incredible idea. We have it for players.
yeah.
Um, I
Yeah, I
think I
remember
even,
because I was talking because Ryan's like, I'm gonna do this coaches show, and I was like, cool, I'll go on it if you want me to. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it with Mike. I was like, Mike who? Like, because I didn't know Mike hardly at all then, and
yeah,
he's like Mike Bianca. I was like, oh, the Hurricanes guy. I was like, okay, whatever. And so then they started doing it, and I was like, cool. I
yeah.
mean, I think it's a lot of it's a lot of work to do a podcast, but it's fun to go on them every once in a while.
Yeah, there's a lot, a lot goes into it. Like obviously, because you and I have been chatting back and forth to try to like lock down dates
Yeah,
and questions
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
just like anything, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into it.
yeah.
I even saw a few weeks ago there. You want to talk about a podcast? Like for everything, there's a podcast for paintball moms. It's like three
I
or four
saw it.
moms. Yeah, it's really cool. Like
Yeah.
they break down the event of like what their experience was and like how it was helping out in the pits and like what their kids went through. I'm like, wow, just think of how many parents are at an NXL event that would like
Oh, for
crave that
sure.
kind of content.
Yeah, because you see it a lot, especially at like the Paris event with all the USA. Because I don't really go like I don't hang out with all the other divisions, but
Yeah,
at that. I'll go hang out with the U16 kids and the U19 kids and the women's team and the old guys. Like so
yeah,
I'll go hang out with all like or help or do whatever. And it's cool. And then like the U16 kids, all their moms are there or dads or whatever. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, because on damage or dynasty that yeah, sure, moms will show up, but it's not like they're not helping out. Like,
yeah,
so it's just like it's cool because they're like into they're being good parents. So I think it's really cool, and honestly, I'm sure it will help a lot of parents. So I haven't listened to their. I know the I think I know some of them. I don't know how many are on the show right now, but yeah.
yeah. If you've got some time to kill, like throw one of them on. It's just a cool different
Okay.
perspective to hear.
Yeah.
I never would have imagined it, but like when I saw, it, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense because there's just so many parents involved, and you're right. Like when you go by like a divisional pit, like just to see how involved the parents are, like how passionate they are, like it's so cool to see. And
Yeah, like
yeah,
little kids or like their little brothers or sisters are there and they're
yeah,
like all decked out and like I think that's the best. Like
yeah,
so
me too. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned Team USA. What has that been like for you? Like, did you ever think 20 years ago that you would be playing slash coaching for your country? Like, that's a crazy thought.
Um well, I mean, I a long time ago they had one and I thought I was going to play and I didn't get asked. Like I literally like I was really good at that point and I was like and then I was just like kind of disappointed and like years later like they just like I I don't even know who really picks. Like this year, one of the paintball moms from the USA, that they're like, "Are you coaching this year?" And I'm like, I'm not sure. Yeah, Anthony hasn't asked. I don't know. And she's like, "I'll go figure that out right now." And I'm like, "Okay." So she did, though. She actually did. And then Nancy's like, "You can come, coach." I was like, "Oh, she asked you," and he's like, "Yes, yeah, he did already."
Gosh.
So it was funny. So, but I think it's super interesting because it's always fun to coach players that are like, say, it's an all-star team basically.
Yeah.
So and then like 2 years ago, like Ryan Gray was over there, and I was like, "Hey, can you come out early? I need help." Like, and then that last year, Bianca came too. So
Yeah.
it's like, because there was like because I was at the time I was coaching the veterans and the men's pro team, so I literally would run between matches and stuff, and so
Wow.
it like Ryan was playing on both also, so it was like it was pretty crazy. So I was like, I need
Gosh.
help, and then like Ryan Gray ended up like just taking the veterans last year, and then Bianca helped a lot with this U16. I know Kyle and Pat helped with them a lot too, but
Yeah.
and then Marcelo kind of does the U19. So yeah,
Man.
it's cool. Like I really like it. Like it's because like I've never coached Mouse before, and this was the first time I ever got to coach him.
Yeah.
Most of the other guys I've usually probably coached, but like it's just cool to see those different personalities and stuff like that.
Yeah. Ryan mentioned that. I think it was either maybe on his show or like we had a phone call or something, but he was like, yeah, there was just something about coaching Mouse when he was with Diesel versus coaching Mouse at Team USA. He was like, I just let him do his thing. And he was the Mouse that we all know. Like he just went to
Yeah,
work.
I mean, it was pretty well. I think that everyone, since it's like that all-star team, everyone is like a little more, I don't want to say reserved, but a little more like, yeah, that's a good idea. Because most of the ideas are good.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're like, play whoever. Obviously, all of them want to play all the points, but
Yeah.
like, it's just like whoever was playing better, that's who ended up playing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think Ryan Gray mentioned what you did for him that first event just meant the world to him. Do you want to talk about that?
What? Just asking him to help me?
No, so I mean,
Or
obviously that's huge, but like I think he attributed
I know what. So we won, and but they this year they gave out like the trophies earlier, like Friday, like because it's weird. It's like, is it? I can't remember. It's like Wednesday, Thursday, and then the regular Paris event is right like back to
right
back.
after. Yeah,
So, but the year before we we won, and obviously Ryan, that was the year Ryan helped me scout, and so there's no way I could do both things.
yeah,
So he helped me scout, and then I was like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" Like after the tournament ends, and I don't know. I waited for the awards show or what the ceremony, and then we got the trophy, and I stole the trophy. I don't think I was supposed to, but I did.
yeah,
And then I was like, where are you at? And then I went to his hotel, and then we took a picture with the trophy because I was like this. And I think I got it. I don't know. I can't remember if I got him a medal or not either. But like,
yeah.
no, because I couldn't have. There's no way I could have done as good a job without him. Like, and I think that's what he's talking about. But
100%. Yeah. So thank you for explaining that because
yeah,
that moment meant so much to him. That one in that moment you thought about him, sought him out, went to his hotel, like,
right.
hey, here's this
Yeah,
trophy that you just helped coach your country for to take a picture with.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah. So, I mean, I needed to take a shower too, and my team had all left. But there was also other reasons. But no, I
Sure.
was because it's like at the award ceremony thing in Vegas. Like they're like coach of the year. I'm like, that's not me. That's me, Junior and Vic. Like all of us together. Like that was
Yeah.
all of our award, not just mine. Like
Yeah.
that's I. It's like I don't know. Like if any award any of those players get, it's because of generally it's because of the whole team. It's not because of just them.
For sure. It's every single piece on that field is so important. And you hear it off the field too. Like everything off the field, like you're not successful if you don't have Junior in your corner, if you don't have
Right.
Vic running the pits. Like it's all everything needs to work
Yeah.
to perfection for those moments.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing. Let's jump off the field a little bit and dive a little bit into your personal life. You had mentioned when we were going back and forth about this that I think you said that paintball, there's something about paintball that it almost made you miss your second year of law school, or like you missed something by
No, no, no,
1%.
no. So what happened is at one point I quit Dynasty. I was coaching them, and I
Yeah.
quit to go to law school. So I went for a year, and then you have like a great GPA you have to have, and I missed it by 0.2% or
Oh
something.
my
And
gosh.
and I was like, fuck,
Wow.
what do I do now?
Wow.
Like I literally had no idea what to do. And then like
Yeah.
I used to I still do hang out with Billy Wing and stuff like that. He used to live close to me. So we'd hang out every once in a while. And then he's like, well, if you don't have anything else to do this weekend, why don't you just come coach the Ironman? And I was like, okay. So then it sort
Wow.
of, I probably wouldn't have coached ever again if it wasn't because of Billy asking me. Like, I mean, I guess Ryan did years later, but that was so I was, but it kind of helped me a lot because like, I was not depressed, but just I had no focus or direction at that point. So it really
Sure.
helped. So,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, going through like I'm sure you put so much time and effort into getting that GPA and then to come up that short and be like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like now what do I do? What's my identity now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like, apparently I still can't write papers or anything like that, but I'm good at tests. So literally these events are tests. So, like every time you study for the test and then you try to get it right. So,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's a great tie into paintball, right? Like every single layout
absolutely.
is
Yeah,
how do you solve it?
exactly. So, yeah.
Wow. Have you ever thought like maybe on one of your long plane rides, have you ever thought about what your life would look like if maybe you got that 0.2%?
Yeah, because I thought about like, so what I wanted to do was do property, like intellectual property and stuff like that. But then after I really thought about it, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is like one of my goals in life is to get a patent. So like
Oh,
I
cool.
realized I was thinking backwards.
Yeah,
So it actually, in a way, helped try to like figure out my direction, and it
sure.
helped me. And I don't like. I think some lawyers are not very nice people, and that's not who I am. Not you, Chris, not you, but
Because I know
but
he's listening.
but and Kevin from Damage, not you either. But yes, like a lot of them are not like they're not good people, and I
Yeah,
wouldn't feel good about myself in the long run. I mean, a lot of them are, but like there's some ones that aren't. So
sure. Yeah, it's kind of crazy like how life has its way of working out where like you think you have an
yeah,
idea and then it's just
yes,
either you work backwards to it or somehow
yeah,
it just
yeah,
unfolds, right? Um,
yeah,
Oliver talked about that on in his show because we kind of dove in like manifesting a little bit, and he said, he's like, I believe in manifesting, but it's not what people typically think. We're like, I believe I'm going to win this. He was like, you're going to do so much more either before that or after that's going to take you down so many different paths. Like you're focused
yeah.
on one moment where it could be so much more.
Yeah, like the what they say, like the journey and stuff. It's like I don't
Yeah,
know, like that's like winning the tournament is cool, but all the other little things along the way, like
yeah.
are the things you remember more. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. I think I relate to that quite a bit because I think I don't know, maybe it was either the first season I was kind of around you guys or the second season when you guys were at X Factor and we went to or you guys went to Velvet Taco for one of your
right.
after practice dinners
We
and
went
I
there
got
a full lot of times.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's incredible. And you guys invited me. I'm like, man, it was cool to be around the team, at the events and shooting, but like to have that moment to just hang out and just eat tacos, like that's a cool moment. And I think those types of moments are what players are grateful for, like at when it's all said and done. Like,
later. Yeah, not at
yeah,
they're not like, oh, this guy, I'm mad at this guy because he got a penalty. It's like whatever, you know.
yeah, that's where those real conversations come up.
Yeah.
Um, I've had a thought recently, and I just spoke with Gerald Garcia quite a bit at this because he's back in the paintball scene now.
Hey, he
And
lives in Texas too now, or he always lived in Texas, did he? Yeah.
I think he
Or I don't
grew up in
know.
he grew up in LA, but I think he
Okay.
moved to Dallas and he's been here for a while. Like he's got a
Okay.
crazy successful tattoo business. He's
Oh, nice.
yeah, he's doing really well. Um, and we had a good conversation about this, and I've heard a lot of folks are, and we've seen it many times, but they leave paintball, right? Life happens, and they come back.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why do people come back to this when they could do so many other things in the world? Like, what is it about paintball that brings people back, in your
I
opinion?
think for me, like the right before I came back to coach Dynasty, I guess the second, I don't know whatever. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So like in 2001 or something, or was it? I'm sorry, 2021. Uh, Ryan, I was in Cabo at a swim up bar, and then I was like, "That's weird." Ryan's calling me. That's strange. Like, and then and he's like, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I'm like, I'm in Cabo."
Yeah, send a
And
picture.
he's like, "Can you make practice?" He's like, "Rusty just quit. Can you or retired or whatever?" And he's like, "Can you make practice this weekend?" I was like, "No fucking way." Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, no way. I'm not leaving this. Like, what are you talking about?" And then I ended up going the next weekend, like literally hadn't watched paintball in 10 years. Like
Yeah.
literally not like watched the thing. Like check on scores every once in a while. I'd never watched webcam, nothing. So I
So you're
like
just
literally
unplugged from
didn't.
it, pretty much.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
And I was just like, and then I did terrible the first event, and we got like 10th. And then the second event, I was like, I did a better job, and then I started learning the players better. And then we got third, and like Arturo's playing with a broken hand, Dalton screwed up his hand, like we were down to like no, like yeah. So it was like nobody left, and
yeah.
and then I was like, it's okay though. I see that we're headed in the right direction. And then we won the third event, and Alex played like a ton of points and got the MVP. I was like, hey, maybe these old guys can play still.
They
So
stick
like
it out.
it was like, yeah. So then it it makes it worthwhile. So, but
Yeah.
that first one, I was like, what did I get myself into? Like people are mad at each other. Like Tyler had quit the team. Like I was like, Jesus. I messed with Tyler. I'm like, you quit because I came, and he's like, no, it wasn't good for you. But it's just funny. So
Gosh.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the competitive little. There's that competitive part in you that doesn't go away no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever miss it? Like actually being on the
no,
field, when you see it? No.
no, no, no. I mean, I did all that. I mean, I accomplished a bunch of those goals. Now,
Yeah.
for me, it's cool. I mean, obviously, it's nice to win an event when you like coach well, like you did, made the right plays, and you see some, especially a player that wasn't supposed to be like, isn't the one of your starters, like go out and play
Yeah.
awesome and do exactly the job, and then everyone's like pumped up for him. Like it's great.
Yeah.
Like that's the best. So
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. I think Ryan said that quite a bit is he gets now in his career, he gets more enjoyment watching
Oh
like
yeah.
his teammates win versus him just winning.
Yeah, there was one tournament in I think it was the second event Chris played with us, and I was like, "Hey man, you haven't really shot anyone this whole tournament." I was like, "Do you want to go shoot some people?" And he goes and shoots like four people, and like in the overtime point in the finals, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Awesome." And
Yeah.
then he was like, "Yeah, I did it." And I was like, "I know, I saw. It was amazing." Yeah, so.
Yeah. They're just like proud kids in
Well,
that moment.
yeah, and it was like I was also terrified because I sent Mikey to the snake on that point, and he got shot off the break, and I'm like, oh no, but it worked out in other ways. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It always finds a way to work out.
yeah,
When you're meeting new people for the first time, like outside the tournament or outside of the industry, I should say, whether it's at an airport or whatnot, you're having a bar or having a drink at a bar. How do you introduce yourself? Like, do you say, "Hey, I'm Kevin, a professional paintball coach"?
well, so the my cheers or whatever you want to call it bar is they know what it is now. Like there's a like he gives me hats and stuff, and
Oh,
we
cool.
at when the ESPN thing was on, like
Yeah.
I know the owner and was like, hey, let's watch. the thing. He's like, what is that? Like he knew what I did, but he was like, I don't know. Like he's like, yeah, whatever. And so he's like, wow, like 60 people showed up, and like Maddie
Oh wow.
came and like a couple of the shop guys, and yeah, it was super cool. So no, I don't really say that because I don't know. It's not that's not who I am, but at the same time, like it's a part of me, but it's not like
Yeah.
I don't go like, oh, I coached the pro USA team.
Yeah.
Like, if they're like, oh, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to Paris, and they'd be like, what are you going for? And I'm like, well, or this weekend, you're going to Portugal. What are you doing that for? I'm like, I coach a Belgian. They're like a Belgian team, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. So yeah.
That's so interesting because I think a lot of people would be like, "Yo, I'm going to coach a country," and they like would have this
Mhm.
sense of pride. But it sounds like for you, it's more of like you kind of get
No,
poked and jabbed
it's
for
like
it.
it's like the thing I do. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know.
it's just a part of you.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like that's like that weird like those weird coaching connection thing. Like
yeah,
I wouldn't have coached that breakout team except Ryan Brand was like he had coached them for a long time and then it stopped during COVID and then I know he has a couple kids so they asked him
yeah,
who should coach us then and then Ryan told him I should. So it's
yeah.
like there's
Gosh,
all that goes on. So
there's just so
yeah.
much power in networking, and I think the more I've been around in the past few years, I think the most important thing in paintball is it's the relationships because like so
Oh,
much
big
comes
time.
from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's super cool. And like you can, especially with coaching in Europe, I can go to the Czech Republic, I can go to Germany, I can go to England and just go have dinner with some, paintball
yeah,
player that normally I would never know, but now I
yeah.
do.
Because you've got some crazy connection over the sport. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of people hear professional paintball or even professional coach and think that we're all living this, crazy lavish life and we do this full time, but it's not for a lot of people. Some people do it full time. What is your Monday through Friday in between events?
So like I work for Dye and so I do all kinds of stuff, but I do everything from our soft goods, our packaging. I do a lot of the designs on the guns. Dye does other stuff as well, not just paintball. There's like a whole CNC side
See,
that does a lot of defense contracting stuff.
yeah.
There's also another part that does all kinds of different things.
Wow.
And so yeah, so I'll help with all of that stuff. So
Is paintball, because I've obviously known about dye since I was a kid. Is paintball the smaller portion of the overall dye umbrella?
uh, I would say it's like ri- I don't know. I mean, at one point it was obviously much bigger, but
Sure.
the CNC took a long time to grow just because of its nature and like being like the defense stuff. That's not like you don't just get giant contracts right away.
Yeah.
So, but they're doing really well. And then like the Taiwan part of diet have done well too, especially lately, because they've started to slowly grow and expand. So the
Oh,
paintball
that's cool.
side is probably not the biggest, but it's a big part of it. Yeah.
Sure. And you mentioned earlier you were on a lot of calls with the Taiwan office. Is
Yeah.
that a lot of, I'm imagining a lot late and early meetings for you?
It's usually no, it's not that bad. It's like at like 5 or 6. Like it's
That's not too
so
bad.
I'm not a morning person, so it actually is fine with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like I went out there to we visited some like the vendors, some of them we use and stuff like that. And like I went to the Lunar New Year party with the company there,
Yeah.
which was super awesome. Like it was great. I sang karaoke and stuff. Like
Oh,
it was
wow.
it was great.
If I can find somebody that has video of that, like I'm going to
Oh
input
no,
that.
they have video. They have video for sure.
Oh, I'm
Like
for sure going to get that.
I don't know who has it. If somebody does though for sure.
I'll ask
So
around. I'll get it.
yeah, you can get it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's ways.
Yeah. I imagine it's probably pretty easy to take time off work there since they know what you're doing paintball wise.
Yeah, no. Like I mean, they understand it at least.
Yeah.
Like, but like I'm sure they're not super happy I go to Europe and stuff like that because that obviously is a lot longer. But at the
Yeah.
same time, there's a Die Germany too. So
Yeah.
I'll go like this year. I'll go talk to them because we have a bunch of jerseys and stuff like that. So and yeah, started to learn key shot, which is really cool. I don't know if you know what that is,
No.
but
What's
it's like
Keyshawn?
so. Key shot is basically in between. It would be kind of like a Photoshop for SolidWorks. So you take your
Oh, okay. Yeah.
SolidWorks model and then you take it into Keyshot, and then you can change materials, change lighting, change
Wow.
cameras, change all kinds of stuff. So I started. It's like it's not. It's one of those things that takes a long time to learn, but
Sure.
it's freaking amazing. So yeah,
Wow.
so there's like these jersey renderings that you'll see like on Dye's webpage. It's like, yeah, like I did a lot of those. So or I
Oh,
started doing
wow.
them. Yeah. So they like, they spin around and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And so you're saying like where how like the light hits in, like the shadowing and
You
whatnot
can
is what you're
change
playing.
everything.
Yeah.
You can set up the studio, like digitally, obviously, of where you want to put cameras, lights,
Yeah.
all these different things.
Gosh,
So
like
it's
that's
like
why.
soup. It
Okay.
accelerates like the like like creating any product process because you can actually visually see it and like turn it around. Like for
Yeah.
the anodized guns, like I've already mocked all those up before we ever any of them get made. So like
Wow.
yeah.
That's why it's like that right there is one of the reasons why like I love doing this podcast because I think I get so much more respect for you and for people in the industry. I think when people hear of Dye, they think of this huge company, which it obviously is, but to know that like you've got a direct hand in what we're seeing on the website and products is
Yeah.
so cool. And I think people respect that a lot more. Like when I had
Yeah, I mean the
Ryan,
people that know, like I know all the people that make the things for all the different paintball
I'm sure.
companies, So like literally in Taiwan, Eclipse is 3 blocks away from Dai,
Yeah.
so it's like you drive by it, so it's like it's just that's where like a lot of well, basically a lot of bike parts are made in Taiwan. Like,
Yeah.
so the machining and stuff like that, I think that's where it kind of comes from in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's, yeah. I loved, I think, was it Dylan Fout that recently did like a whole video of like the factory walkthrough, I think with Dye. And like they
Right.
showed how it was so fascinating to see just the whole process of what goes into, I think it was
Okay.
a headband they were showing.
Oh no, no, that was Nate did that. So
Okay.
Nate did that, but so that's the company we worked with, like that like this guy, he's like a cyclist and he invented this like little silicone um band that like attaches to your like headband. He does it for under helmets and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, so then I like we ended up talking to each other, and I was like, let's do those for paintball, and they're amazing. Like, it's literally makes sweat when you're sweating, like it goes around so your foam doesn't get wet and stuff like that. It's like
That's,
it's so simple, but it's like brilliant, and it
yeah.
works like crazy.
Yeah, it's like that's the simplest thing, like out of everyone's gear bag, right? The simplest product is probably the headband, and like just the fact that so
Yeah.
much energy went into like how do we make that even better is so cool.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
why I respect Dye so much for the work that you
Right.
guys have done over the past few years.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've got a few more for you. Definitely want to
Okay.
respect your time. 10, 20, maybe 30 years from now, when your whistle's on the wall and it's collecting dust, what do you want to be known for? Like, what do you want to be remembered for when you look back at your career?
Well, for me now, it's kind of cool. Like one of the things that I guess I felt most proud of is when I've listened to the coaches show, and then other coaches say that I helped them along the way. Like for me,
Oh, cool.
that's what makes me the most proud. Like because then it's like then they'll teach someone else, and it just goes down the you know yeah. So that for me, that's the coolest part.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
It's sort of like coaching trees, how they say it in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, because I never really had a coach in paintball, so like, I don't know. At one point, they start like teams started to have them, but like for the longest time, teams never had coaches. Like,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of like Dynasty never had one for like years. Like while I was playing, we never had a coach. Like not until like X-Ball, and then we're like, well, everyone else has one. We should have one too. So, so that's
Yeah.
kind of what happened. But like, yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's just so crazy to see like the evolution of how the game keeps evolving, right? Because like now there's coaches, and I spent a lot of time with Mike Bianca and Junior in
Yeah.
Tampa, and Mike just kept saying he was like, I can't believe these guys never ran drills. Like they're so good, and they never did drills with their practice. So
Oh,
like
at
now,
Dynasty practices?
yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, because we didn't. No, we didn't do a whole lot of drills because I expect people to do that on their own. They don't need to
yeah,
do it like as much like at that for me, that time should have been spent doing team stuff, not just drills.
sure,
Like we have all these other weekends to do drills.
to
Like,
come up to
yeah,
that, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
incredible.
And drills are super boring for
They
coaches.
are,
They're literally the most boring thing ever. Like
yeah.
yeah, it's the worst. So yeah, that was not my favorite thing to do ever.
Yeah, but I mean that's different styles, different
Yeah, exactly.
philosophies, and
Yeah,
and they both work. There's no right or wrong answer for that.
right.
Man, this has been awesome. I so appreciate you coming on. I think you've probably seen a few of these at this point, but like I've ended all of my podcasts with asking a question to the guests,
Right.
and they don't know who the next week is. So it's
Oh
a
man,
cool way to.
I forgot to what to ask.
That's okay. I got you.
Oh no, actually, okay, I have a good one. Okay, okay,
Yeah. So I'll give you a little time to think about it. I'm going to ask you a question first.
okay,
I just had Gerald Garcia on, old
okay.
school, baller and
Yeah,
whatnot. And he had an incredible question. His question for you, without knowing you were going to be on,
right, right.
is who was someone in paintball, whether it was a teammate, a coach, or even just a random person that has changed your life, and how do they change it?
Oh, I don't. That's a really. I don't know. That's a really hard question. Change. Yeah, I don't. Well, I'll think of. I have my question though for the next person. I thought of
Okay,
that
ask your
already. Well,
question, then
I'll
we'll
go
we'll come back to
backwards.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I like. I would like to ask the next person where they would want to play in front of, uh, like a crowd or an
yeah.
audience or a single person, where that would be, and who the people watching would be.
Oh
So,
wow! Like who would they
let's
want
say
there?
yeah, like do they want their mom like to watch, or like do
Oh,
they want
cool.
like or it could be a group of people, but I think that would be a
Yeah,
really interesting thing. And where? Like, do you want to play like in front of the White House? Do you want to play I don't know, in front of a waterfall? Like I don't know, all over the place. So
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's a good question. I'll tell you once we get off air. I'll tell you who that question will be for. It'll be cool.
Okay, cool, cool. Who really changed? I don't really have anyone. But I will say this is it's paintball related, I guess.
Yeah,
So it's like my dad had been sick for a really long time. He had Lewy body dementia, Parkinson's, and all this stuff. So it was like it was a long time. So then he finally passed away, and then I was supposed to go to a tournament in Mexico like 2 days later. And then I'm like, well, I helped my mom with and my family with all the stuff. And then I was
yeah.
like, well, there's nothing to do now. And then I like went and talked to my mom, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to go. She's like, your dad would want you to have gone, so go.
Oh wow.
So like, and then I just went, and I wouldn't say that changed my life, but it changed my perspective on that. Everyone suffers that, or not suffers, but like everyone has someone close to them die
Sure.
or pass away, whatever you want to call it. And
Totally.
it's how you think about that going forward that changed like my perspective entirely. So I guess,
Yeah.
yeah,
Was this
I
when you
guess
were
my
still
mom.
playing?
No, it's when I was coaching. Like,
So
so this was like, yeah, no, I didn't tell anyone for a while. So
wow.
I just, I was just like, everyone processes it differently or
Yeah,
whatever. So
totally.
yeah, no, that happened during, I know I was coaching. That must have been right after that Chicago event, the first one where Alex got the MVP. That happened right after that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and you're spot on. Like everybody processes it differently. You
yeah,
know, my first World Cup 3 years, like when that Dynasty children's book came out, that was my first World
yeah,
Cup ever. And my mom passed away 2 or 3 weeks before that. And I was the same thing. Like, man, do I
yeah. You're
go?
like,
Do I
well, what? Yeah,
not?
there's like, I don't have anything else to do, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to say just feel sad, but I'm like, you don't stop your life for the next. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. Until that happens, it's very difficult for you to be like, no, yeah, I should go do that. I love doing this. I should go do this because it's fun, and
Yes.
and your book was fun. Actually, my
Y-
nieces have it. So
Yeah.
yeah, they don't know why it's not in Spanish because they're uh bilingual. So they were like, they should do it in Spanish too. And I
I
was
can
like, well,
work on that.
I don't know if he can. They can translate it for you. Like
Yeah.
they're good. So yeah,
I could try to work on that. I can, we'll make this
yeah,
book global.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great answer. Thanks for
Okay.
opening up
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, that's probably a little, yeah, it's a little different than, yeah, because I've never had anyone, like, obviously lots of people affected small portions, but not like, there's no one thing that would look like switch like everything. Like, lots, like the
Sure.
Billy thing was a little thing that, like, helped
Yeah.
me. And then there's lots of other little things along the way.
That's
So,
where I
yeah.
thought you were going to go with it. I thought you were going to
No,
say
I
Billy,
mean,
but like
yes.
I'm,
I mean, yeah, obviously that helped, but it was not, there's plenty of things like all kinds of paintball players have,
yeah,
helped or shaped your vision or whatever you want
yeah.
to call it.
Incredible
Yeah.
answer. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Garcia, but I changed it. So
That's okay. He did add, if this is still possible, because one of the things that he really attributed to his success is Bob Long changed his life in a pretty big way. And
okay.
he was like, he wanted to go back and thank Bob at some point because I don't think Bob knew how much of an impact he had. And so what he called it was give the roses, like you're going to give somebody roses, like an act of love.
Right.
He was like, so whoever this next guest is, after they tell you that, tell them to go
Oh, okay.
thank
Yeah,
that
no,
person
he's
for
right.
it.
Like of a person that helped, like the one person that people don't know that really helped Dynasty along the way. Well, there's a bunch, but one that like really believed in it in the beginning was Chuck Hinch, who people don't really even know, but he was
Yeah.
really, well, like not now. I mean, they used to, but like I don't. He really, really helped like start Dynasty and helped us get funding to go pro, basically. And I know he put a bunch of his own money into stuff too,
Yeah.
like and things like. I mean, that lots of people helped. Like Alex's dad helped, like all kinds
Sure.
of people did, but him in particular was like he kind of just took a bigger chance than anybody else did, I think.
And like that right there goes to show if you put passion into something, like look what came from it. You know, you've got a 25
Exactly.
some odd year story now.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember at one point too, like Chuck owned the name and all the things. And he was like, well, I put this much money into the thing. And then all the players bought it back from him when he was like,
Oh, wow.
he's like, I don't have enough time to do all this. So,
Sure.
but it wasn't about like that. So, like, it was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew Chuck was a big part of it. I knew he was a big part of
Yeah.
NPPL, but it was cool to hear that.
Yeah, no. He was like I would say like the initial owner of Dynasty, I guess you could say.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man,
So
well,
that
Skin,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. This has been one I looked forward to. And when you came up to me in Tampa and you're like, hey, I want to come on your show, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, I didn't expect that. And so it really, truly, it meant a lot to me. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah. I think it's cool because I think like everyone does it their own little way. Like, Kyle and Ryan are more fun and then
Yeah.
Marcelo tells a 4 hour story of everything. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, you're somewhere in between, like, so which is good. So yeah.
Yeah. It's that we're at such a cool spot, where we've got, I think, at least a podcast almost every day that comes out. We've got the
Oh,
coaches show, we've got Spick and
yeah.
Span, we've got mine, Play the Game, In the Pits. So like we're at such a cool spot where we have so much
Right.
variety for people.
Yeah, no, there's tons. And then there's other ones too that I don't, follow as
Yeah.
much, like scenario ones and other stuff that, it's
Yeah.
not exactly what I do, but I mean,
There's
yeah,
it,
it's
it
interesting.
it's just like you said, if you're having fun in the sport, there's something for that.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly. Yeah,
that's all that
exactly. I
matters.
mean, I don't know, is there like WC specific? I'm sure there are.
There,
Like,
I don't think so at the moment, but one of the goals that I think Ryan Gray or Major League Paintball has is to do do a region specific podcast and to have that air on Major League's channel. So like there'll be a
also like
podcast
the
for
West Coast leagues or Florida leagues or Texas
yeah,
leagues, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
That way it puts a feature on all the different parts of the country.
Yeah.
That'd
All
be cool.
right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because like this weekend, I was like, there were like almost, or maybe there were like 150 teams. And
Yeah,
I
that's
was
a
like, what the
lot.
heck?
It's crazy. Like I saw somebody did the overview, like the drone view of the layout. I'm like, there's
Yeah.
so many people there.
Yeah. And it's like, and people are like, why doesn't it move around more? And I was like, well, him can't find a spot with he needed 5 feet, I think 5 fields.
Yeah.
And like, like not many places have 5 airball fields that they
No
can set up.
way. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so
All
much for
right.
coming on, and to the rest of the people listening in on Apple and Spotify and YouTube. Thanks for tuning into another episode of the Shellda podcast, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.